thing I can come on, like when I was trying to lose weight, because I got no weight and everything. Losing weight is not complicated, really. I mean, it can be, but it doesn't have to be. If you get up and you run a couple miles every day, you're probably not going to be fat, you know. And the hard part is not figuring out how to do it; it's just doing it. You know, the devil for us is in our habits. That's what gets us. It's we just have we're just trained at birth to have very bad financial habits, and it's not always our fault. You know, corporations they structure their advertising things like that to get us addicted to consumerism. We literally are addicted to consumerism because consumer spending is actually what props up the economy, and consumers go in debt to keep up with the Joneses and to spend their money. And so, really what you're saying in terms of like basic investing, what you're describing right there, when you talk about somebody who invests consistently over a long period of time and has a big pile of money, that David Bach refers to that as those as automatic millionaires. Automatic millionaires are regular people just like you and I who, save, who have a little bit of money coming out of their account every month or every couple of weeks, and it goes into their investment account like clockwork, and they don't mess with it. They set it and forget it. And then they look back a few years later and they've got a big pile of money. You'd be amazed how much money you can build up. Like if somebody did this over the last 30 years, if somebody I have something I put together called a $5 a day plan, where basically I showed that if a person had invested $5 a day over the last 30 years, they'd have over $250,000 liquid. If they'd done it over the last 40 years, they'd have about between $700,000 and $900,000. So if you think about it, $5 a day, a lot of people can afford that. Popeye's Chicken is having a sale for $6.99 for a chicken sandwich meal. There'll be a line around the block up the street, right? So a lot of times there's what I call a wealth illusion, where we will think that we can't build any wealth, or I'll think that because I don't have a lot of money, I can't invest. And the reason it's an illusion is because you've discounted how much wealth you can have just by taking little steps consistently every day. Just like walking, like if you had to walk from New York to LA, it would seem impossible, right? But mathematically, if you just start walking and you walk for a couple of weeks, you'll eventually get there, So it's a matter of just start walking, just start walking. And so if I really wanted to make a difference in my family, I wouldn't worry about where you are. Just start your walk of wealth. In fact, doing just the $5 a day thing and investing in the stock market and literally picking any stock that you want, just picking a new stock every week or whatever, like within a decade, if that person doesn't, take on a whole bunch of debt, they're going to be out of poverty. They won't be in poverty anymore because they would actually have between $25,000 and $30,000 in liquid wealth based on, the stock market's performance over the last 10 years, over any 10-year period in the last, since probably 1930. Right. So think about this, right? You were mentioning earlier that most people don't even have $1,000 liquid to make a move. Imagine if you got $25,000 liquid. You're not poor anymore. You can't call yourself poor. You started there, but that's not where you're at because you kept moving. You started your walk of wealth. Now, in terms of life insurance is another simple equation. It doesn't cost that much. Very easy to do. But again, going back to what I was saying about culture, how wealth habits are shaped by culture. Effectively, the thing is I've noticed is that people don't like to talk about death. I don't know why. They just act, it's like, if I talk about it, it's going to make it happen, or, but you're going to die. Like everybody's going to die. We die all the time. And so this idea of kind of planning for the future or planning for the what ifs or what's going to happen if you die, because there's so much stigma around that, those conversations never happen. And next thing you know, somebody dies and then nobody's prepared. And that to me is one of the easiest places that there is. I mean, in fact, black wealth would probably increase by at least $1 trillion if everybody just got life insurance. Like if everybody got life insurance, that would be bigger than any reparations package that Congress would ever give us, right? That right there, that one tiny move.
Right. And speaking on that, like I had a red friend, right? Whose grandfather passed in his 50s. They own stores, they own their, some little corner stores and everything. So what they did, his mother and his siblings put like $1 million policy on the grandmother. and she lived another 30 years to 80-something. However, they put $1 million policy on, and they paid maybe $400 a month, maybe $5,000 a year. So they had $150,000 into that policy, but it paid out $1 million. So now, when that family needs money for open something up, buy a home, or do whatever they need to do, they pull from that life insurance fund that was set up through that process. And when I hear things like that, it's just something that's not in our community, but I think that's why it was important to bring you to the DMV. So individuals, they're here for me. I'm insurance agent, but they're here from you, and that's why I wanted to bring this whole thing to the DMV.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great, and I'm honored that you invited me. Thank you, by the way. And I'll say that the life insurance thing is something that really baffles me. And even when you see celebrities and stuff that die without an estate plan or a will, it's just a lack of understanding of what happens. If you die without your estate plan in place, people just wait for that to happen. I know people that have entire law firms where the only way they make money is they eat off of people's estate plans because they didn't plan. Literally, I talked to a lawyer in DC who said to me that she said that's what pays about 80% of the bills in our firm is people that die and don't have an estate plan, and then we get paid a lot of money to organize the things that they never took care of. And so I think the question becomes, do we want to keep giving that money away? And if you're talking about wealth being not what it should be, how can you really talk about that if you're giving so much away? We really give a lot of our wealth away, but it's going to take time. It's not a matter of beating up on ourselves. I think that there is such a thing as a poverty mentality. A poverty mentality is a type of economic version of low self-worth. A poverty mentality is when you don't value what you have, and when you don't value what you have, you don't take care of it. You don't preserve it. You just waste it. Because it's like, well, I don't have nothing, so you think about a person with low self-esteem, maybe a little girl with low self-esteem. Well, she just gives herself away to whoever because she doesn't value what she has and who she is. Right. So same thing is true when it comes to those who think that they're poor. The thing about being African-American is, and this is where I contrast with a lot of the conversation that I hear, is that you're actually really blessed more than you think. If you go to other parts of the world, the people in other parts of the world don't have the kind of wealth that African Americans have. African Americans actually have more income, 4 times more income than the entire country of Colombia. In Colombia, they run their they have its entire school systems. They have they have their media outlets. They own entire sports leagues. But if you tell African Americans, hey, you can actually own sports leagues and sports teams, we just aren't ready mentally for that. We don't believe we can do that because we see ourselves in a certain subjugated position. So what happened with me was over time, I started to reject a lot of the very negative self-talk, very defeatist victim talk, because that when you see yourself as a victim and helpless in a charity case, then you don't have that ability to get up and actually do something and build something. I just really believe that. Even the reason a lot of Black businesses don't thrive is because the business owner will be surrounded by people who see themselves as victims, and they'll see their cousin start a business and they won't even see themselves as somebody who can actually help them. They'll just say, well, you're doing good, cuz, can you loan me some money? And it's like, well, what can you do for your cousin? Like, why can't you do something for them? Well, if you see yourself as a victim, then you don't see yourself as having anything to offer. You only see yourself as a person who should show up with their handout. And a business can't succeed if everybody around you has their handout. And that's why a lot of Black businesses have a hard time succeeding. Does anybody have another question?
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
So, Doc, a lot of the small businesses, I deal with like small business, helping millennials start a business and growing it. A lot of times we have trouble with cash flow issues. We got the net 15. Well, most of the time we got net 30, net 60, and net 90. And especially if we subcontractors. So what sort of suggestions do you have when it comes to like bailing that cash flow sort of situation?
Yeah, that is a common problem. More businesses die from a lack of cash flow than from a lack of profitability. Sometimes selling a lot of your goods is actually bad for your company. Sometimes growing too fast can kill your company, because growth of a company is like having a growing child. Like we have a growing 16-year-old. Seems like he grows an inch every week, and he just eats up all the food. A growing child's going to absorb a lot of food. So a growing business absorbs a lot of your cash flow. And so that's why you have, companies online, PayPal and a couple others, Cabbage and stuff like that. And all they do is they make these working capital loans for small businesses that are growing and need cash flow just to survive. It really requires you to be thoughtful and strategic and creative about how you get your financing. Most Black entrepreneurs that I know can't just go to Bank of America and get $1 million loan. It's no matter how good your idea is, they're just usually not going to do that. And so what we used to do is we did a lot of bartering with people. We would do bartering, do IOUs, things like that. So for example, one time I wanted to hire my cousin and I couldn't afford to hire her because she was making this much money. We only had that much. So I said, hey, cuz I know you're worth this much, but we only have that much. So how about you let me pay you this much and we put the rest in an IOU. And I'll pay you within a year, whatever I owe you. And once we get some stuff going, and she took the deal, and what she did was that was her giving us financing. That was her actually giving us a loan, basically. Another thing you can do is if you're an entrepreneur and you join a group of entrepreneurs, find your group, find your clique, find your gang, find your circle, find your network. You got to have a network. If you don't have one, just join an organization. They got entrepreneurship organizations, Chamber of Commerce, all that stuff. If you're in a group like that, what happens is you can form an economy where you can then just go to people and you can barter. And I still do that. I still barter with people. I had a barter today. One of my friends, I needed some, she had an expertise we needed. And I said, look, I ain't really trying. I can't go on a budget like that. So how about I give you this and you give me that, and then we figure this out. And that way we're both helping each other, and nobody feels cheated. Nobody feels like they're just doing everything for free. Because that's the other thing too. You want to move more toward trade and not charity. That means that, when you continuously drain another person, that's not fair to them. And eventually they're going to run out of energy. Right. And if you're letting them drain you, then that's not fair to you. But it's great when you can find a way to trade, when you can find a middle ground. So for example, I rarely will take anything from a Black business owner for free. I go places, people want to offer me T-shirts and books and stuff like that. And if I have money in my wallet, I'll give you that money for your product. I'll pay full price. Or if I can't, I'll just say, okay, well, how about this? I'll give you half price. Maybe it's something I don't even want, but it's a matter of just kind of understanding the importance of meeting that middle ground. Another thing is in terms of raising money, Lamontre, you may want to look online. There's a lot of online companies that are making loans that banks will not make. So, for example, PayPal loves to make loans to small businesses because PayPal doesn't care what your credit score is. PayPal, they're looking at your PayPal account. So if you got all your money flowing through your PayPal account, they calculate how much they'll loan you based on your revenues and your transactions. And because they know where you live, they know how they can go in your account and get the money out in case you can't pay them back. So I would look at some of those alternative lenders. Let me think here. I remember one time we did get a loan from a guy in Africa, and that was important for us. That's another thing too. You got to really be thoughtful about where you get your money from. If you get whether you get your money from corporate America, from the government. Like we don't take money from corporate America. We don't take money from the government because we're too Black. We just, we're too Black and we're too edgy. We're speaking a little bit too much truth. So we don't even want to have those conversations. I've had people approach me about banks, making deals with me because I'm a financial influencer because we have a few 100,000 followers and all that. But I don't want those deals because I don't want that to control what we're doing. But we did actually make a deal. There's a guy in Africa that loaned us some money. And I like that deal because he didn't bother us. He didn't tell us what to do. He just said, pay me back and give me, my interest. And it worked out great. So look for those alternative creative ways to get financing. And remember, an economy, getting your economic system moving kind of comes down to three markets. There's the 3 C's of building an economy. There's a market for capital, there's a market for contractors, and there's a market for customers. So those are the 3 markets you have to adhere to in order to build a business. Capital market means getting the money that you need to start the business, right? Or to maintain the business, right? Bank loans, investment capital, things like that. The market for contractors means getting your laborers, who's going to do the work, who are your experts? Where do you go to find the people that can help you get the job done? And the market for customers is getting your customer base, people that actually need the service that you're offering or the product that you're offering. In all three of those markets, you're getting resources that you need. A lot of people will get money from the capital market so they can put money into the labor market. Meaning, if you look at most of these businesses in Silicon Valley, when they get, $5 million in venture capital funding, first thing they're doing is they're going and hiring a bunch of people. So they're going right to the labor market and paying a bunch of people. Well, a lot of the labor market, if you have a good network, can be done through bartering, where you can make deals with people and do trades with people as opposed to actually exchanging money. In fact, I spend money, but money's like the last thing on my list. My first thought is, what are all the things I could possibly do for you that don't involve money so that we don't have to end up exchanging a commodity that's pretty rare in our space? And then the last one, the market for customers. Sometimes even your customers can give you financing. I'll give you an example. I have a friend who released a movie, and instead of going out and spending $20,000 to make a movie and then trying to sell it later, he sold the movie and then went and made the movie. So he went to his customers who trusted him. That's how capital markets move. That's how money moves is trust, right? So he went to his customer base who trusted him, and he said, "Look, we're going to make this movie. Though it's going to cost $20. If you buy it now, you could buy it for $10," and he raised $40,000 before he shot a reel of that movie. So before the movie was even made, he had already sold the movie. But instead of selling it to Netflix or Disney, he sold it to his customers who gave him the capital, but he had to then flip and deliver the film, right? He had to actually follow through on what he promised. But that was basically his way of getting financing in a creative kind of way. I hope that helps.
It did. It helped a lot. Thank you, Doc.
You're welcome, brother. Anybody else? I think I've run out of stuff to say.
Well, I will jump in real quick. We've had around 50 viewers between Zoom and our private Facebook group. So I just want to say thank you so much for everyone joining us. And we won't hold you too much longer, Dr. Boyce. Aaron, do you want to talk with everyone about our special offer tonight for Spring into Wealth?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Once again, thank you, Dr. Boyce, for checking in with us. We appreciate it, everything. Appreciate what you're doing, what you're going to do, and the light you're going to share on our situation financially on March 21st and 22nd. So one of the things that, sometimes when you give free information like this, it's hard to get people to check in. So, everybody that stopped and checked in, I appreciate it. And it's really not about, anything about finance, but one of the things that I did want to say is, like, if you're on the Zoom tonight, and Jessica can figure out how to make it work. The general mission for the Bringing the Wealth for the all-day workshop is like $199. But if you are here tonight, we'll do it for $50. You can show up for $50. We provide breakfast. There's afternoon snacks. It's a full breakfast, not even continental. You can eat a sandwich and have fruit. And if you're here tonight and you want to come, it's just about getting people there and getting the information. When I put this thing together, it was really about getting this information out to people. I feel like our community needed, Dr. Bush, you may not even know this. Like, I saw you first time I saw you came to Baltimore for the Black Wall Street thing.
I remember that.
Okay, I saw you there. I'm actually a member. I got my DU shirt. I was one of the first 1,000 members of the, cryptocurrency thing. And then the All Black National Convention in New York. Seeing that information made me like, and even what you really don't know is that you played an important role. Like my oldest daughter is on the line, and education over entertainment came out of your program. They did the Millionaires of Tomorrow program. Education and entertainment came out when you talked about a t-shirt brand. And I personally own an insurance agency, own a commercial cleaning company, I'm a partner in a commercial real estate group, a couple other business. I don't really know what it is. Promotion and marketing, some other stuff I do. I can't, somebody else can tell you. But I have about 6 businesses. And education over entertainment came about because I wanted to create something with my daughters and my son, and so they can take, something that they could have and create and grow. And it just started off as a t-shirt brand. We had shirts, we got the shirts printed and we could do some things. And this was like a launch party. So me coming out to the networking events, and seeing you, what happened was, it made me want to get into hey, education over entertainment is not just about a t-shirt. It's about bringing the education piece to the DMV. So we, instead of just being an apparel brand, we became a public speaking brand. And it's something that my children would take over. Because I have my other businesses, but this is something that they can get creative with it and grow. And I just financially support it. Because like I said, life ain't about what you have, it's what you keep and pass on to the next generation. And everything that I'm doing is like a legacy piece. So,
all right.
I appreciate everybody for starting this. So if you want to get a ticket to Spring in the Well, Jessica can give you the code. It's $50 a night, and we'll figure it out from there.
Yes. So I put it in the chat. Go to springin12.com. It will disappear after 12 midnight tonight, y'all. So don't drag your feet. Use tonight 150 all caps to get 150 off either general admission, or if you want VIP access, it would be 150 off of VIP access.
Wow.
So we appreciate yes.
That's a really good deal. And what I'll throw out here too is when we've done events, similar events, the biggest reason that people should come to the event is because it's not just about the information. It's definitely not just about me. It's about the network of people that you meet. You meet some really special people at these events. And I'm telling you, whenever we have a seminar, we bring together all these people that are strong, progressive, very positive minded Black folks. And they walk out of there with businesses, and some of those businesses go on and make a lot of money. Like these should be your new play cousins, so to speak, business wise, because these are the people that you can build empires with. And because that's the key. If you really look at history, economic history, business and wealth is built through people coming together. The reason that London became the first, one of the richest cities in the world, the first city in the West to have over 1 million people in it, is because they had the river that ran through, and people would just come through the river, and people got together and they would trade. So by bringing Black folks together and us trading knowledge, trading resources, trading networks, trading commodities, whatever the case may be, that is a wealth generator. Black people can generate trillions of dollars in wealth just by coming together. Seriously, just for 1.3 trillion in spending, 10% of that is $130 billion. If we just increased Black spending by that 10% margin, that's $130 billion in our community. That creates every year dozens of billionaires, thousands of millionaires right there, just from the money that we're spending. Right. But right now we're creating millionaires and billionaires in other communities. So all we got to do is bring it back home. So this event, Education Over Entertainment, I hope you'll forgive me for jumping and saying this. I hope I didn't speak out of turn. But this event is a microcosm of that very phenomenon. If we do this on a macro level, then we will win. Black people will win. Like, we are the solution we've been waiting for. We are our own Superman. And I am completely sure of exactly what we need to do in order to make that happen. So that's what we're going to talk about when we get together. And I guarantee anybody that shows up, when you walk out, you won't be the same person. I guarantee you that much.
I have a question.
Please.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I have two-part question. For anyone who's been to your conference before, how does the Spring into Wealth conference differ from any prior ones that you've done? That's my first question. And my second question is, Dr. Boyce, if you went broke tomorrow, obviously I don't want that to happen, but if you went broke tomorrow and you were in debt, what would your strategy be to get out of that position? Because I remember you saying at the conference in New York that I think it's like one of your friends, you decided to go the school route, they decided to go the entrepreneurial route, but you said that the person that went the entrepreneurial route, some people, he could see money, opportunities around him, while other people, they can't. So I guess if I'm being clear enough, how would you explain to someone, like how to be able to see opportunities around you that are in terms of money making opportunities versus someone who's closed minded. So that's my 2-part question, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. The first question about what's different between this and the one that I did in New York, for example, is actually it's very similar. The main difference is the network is different. It's a different group of folks coming together, right? So network, it's almost like, why do you go to church twice? Especially if you know the pastor gives the same sermon at, every Easter, right? And except in this case, the church is definitely different because you got totally new members of the church, or 90% difference in the congregation itself. And remember, that's the strength. The strength is in the congregation, not so much just in me speaking, because you can hear me speak. You can go join the Black Business School digitally and hear me speak digitally. But the live event, you're getting the networking effect, which I commit to you is very, very important, very powerful, incredibly, probably the most powerful part. But the second piece is going back to in terms of being able to see opportunities and things like that. Actually, you sound like you actually asked me 3 questions, or at least I'm gonna frame it that way. So you asked about the debt. If I went broke tomorrow and I was deep in debt, one thing I would not do to try to pay off a lot of debt is I would not take a scarcity approach to repaying debt. A scarcity approach is where you're like, okay, I got 100,000 in student loans and I'm making 50,000 a year. What can I cut out of my budget so that I can pay my student loan debt over the next 25 years? That's a very depressing way to approach debt reduction, in my opinion. It's like going down, it's like going upstream in a boat and you're using your sail to try to do that. It's just going to be difficult to do. Instead, but if you put a motor on that boat and you're going upstream, then you can go very fast. So what I would probably do in order to overcome the debt is figure out how to make money. Just if you make income if you are able to increase your income, you'd be amazed at how many of your financial problems just go away just by increasing your income by 10, 15, 20%. I mean, the side hustle is incredibly powerful in terms of allowing you to conquer your debt, build your wealth, and not reduce your lifestyle at the same time. That's what I ran into. When I was younger, and I was like thinking about all the things I wanted to cut out of my budget, and I was like, I really don't want to cut anything. So I said, maybe I can figure out how to go make more money. And so when I made like an extra $1,500 a month, it made a huge difference. Like that was $1,500 I could just save and still spend my entire paycheck. Right. So I would learn how to I would just go find opportunities to make money. There's money everywhere in the United States. America is a very wealthy country. There's a lot of money everywhere. The last part about how do you get to the point where you can see all the opportunities? It's the same way that if you go out into the woods. If you take me out into the woods right now, I don't know anything about hunting or growing food or surviving in the wilderness. So if you take me out to the woods, I'll probably starve to death, right? I just will because I won't know what to do, right? But if somebody's trained, to be a hunter, like if they know, how to find food, how to pick the right berries, how to, all that, how to skin the animal once they kill it, all that person could survive and thrive. They would see food everywhere. Right. So what's the difference? The difference is skill set, right? And so in order to see more opportunities, you want to increase your skill set, increase your economic training, because what happens is you gain an experiential ability to just sort of identify things. Like you can see things, you can see moves. Like a basketball player, a guy who only has one move can only see one thing. Whereas a guy like a LeBron James, he's great because he can see the whole court. He can see all the possibilities unfold before they unfold. He knows, he's been through that scenario 10,000 times. So he's going to see the court differently from a guy who's never played basketball before. So a lot of times the reason that we lose the economic game, I believe as a people, is because we just don't raise our kids to be able to see the whole floor like that, to see the whole economic game. We just see one move in one position and that's all we know. Did that help?
Thank you. It definitely helps. Thank you.
All right.
Wow, that was a wealth of information right there.
and I still feel so guilty for coming in late. I'm so sorry again, y'all. I hope y'all can forgive me.
No, you're good. It all worked out. We had a lot of love on all streams. So we appreciate it. Everyone has been on for about an hour now, and we just so honor this moment. Again, go to springitwealth.com. Use the coupon code TONIGHT, TONIGHT, all caps, 150 for $150 off. That information is in the chat. Grab it now. If you need it again, hit me up, DM me on any social stream, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Thanks, Dr. Boyce.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody. See you in Maryland. Bye-bye now.
See you.
All right, guys. That was I was doing a conversation with some folks that invited me to speak in Hanover, Maryland. The URL, if you want to come to the seminar, it's going to be a day-long event. It's going to be good. You're going to love it. It's springintowealth.com. That's springintowealth.com. And actually, right now, I think the regular price is $199, so you can actually get in. It's a great deal for $50. They're going to take $150 off if you use the code TONIGHT150, all caps, TONIGHT150. So go to springintowealth.com, and TONIGHT150 is the discount code. What's the brother's name? I don't have it in front of me. It started with an A. I gotta go find out. I should know that. I'm sorry about that, but I gotta go. I'm so exhausted, guys. The URL is springintowealth.com. That's springintowealth.com. Use the discount code TONIGHT150, all caps, and that'll get you in for $150 off. Please hit the thumbs up button if you're watching on YouTube. And also on Instagram. We do have the Black Financial Channel on Instagram. So if you're watching on the Black Financial Channel, go follow us on Instagram also. We give daily financial news and commentary from a Black perspective. So you guys, you know, that's me. That's what we do. So I'm out of here. I'm about to go hang out with my woman. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night. Peace.